A gruesome story leads off our newscast.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a north side apartment, and now they wonder if they've uncovered some kind of death factory.
31-year-old man who admitted to killing victims in his apartment, then dismembering their bodies, may have murdered up to 17 people.
The police got here in the middle of the night, and what they found was an apartment full of pieces of people. The bodies were dismembered. Literally piecing together the information is going to be difficult to figure out who the victims are in this case.
People were shocked. They were awed, and they couldn't turn away.
I was saving body parts, such as my obsession grew, I wanted to keep them with me. No one had a clue as to what was happening for over a decade.
If you were out on the street now, would you still be committing the crimes?
Probably. If this hadn't happened, there's no doubt I probably would be. I can't think of anything that would have stopped me.
Dahmer was undoubtedly a monster, one of the most notorious serial killers in US history. 15 consecutive life sentences was the punishment that he would receive for the unthinkable damage caused to many families and friends. Fear, fantasy, fetishism, the fuel that drove him to commit 17 murders across a span of 13 years. In this episode, you will have access to Jeffrey Dahmer's never-before-heard audio tapes. These tapes will accompany our harrowing impact statements from our victims, serving as insight behind the monster himself. Which brings us to our first victim testimony.
The deaf-mute guy. I wanted to keep him with me, so I gave him a drink with the pills in it, fell asleep, and I wanted to see if I could think of a way to keep him with me without actually killing him.
Again, ma'am, would you first identify yourself, please?
My name is Shirley Hughes, and I'm Tony Anthony Hughes' mother.
Anthony Hughes was Dahmer's 12th victim. FBI records state that Hughes was just like every other victim, a grotesque attempt at the ultimate level of dominance. What makes Hughes unique was that he was not only a mute, but also one of Dahmer's first attempts at life after death.
And so I had a drill at home, and it's going to sound bad, but took the drill while I was asleep, drilled a small hole in his to see if I could make it so that he would just sort of be like in a zombie state.
A twisted zombie-like experiment, a real-life lobotomy in the bedroom. These details leave an impact, and they certainly did for his mother while she read a poem from the perspective of her mute son in the final moments before Dahmer killed him.
Why am I a victim in your cruel and rueful world? Listen to me anyway. Try to have mercy on my moans. Look at the tears roll down my face. See that each one is a cry for help. Tell me just what is it that I've done to you to make you such a monster, to make you such a maniac, to make you such a devil. My God, who are you? What are you? Is there anyone that can help me? Mom, dad, sister, brother, someone, please help me. What's happening to me? Everything seems to be slowing down. I'm confused, I'm drowsy. My coordination have been contaminated. My friend, what is it that you've given me? What is it that you're doing to me? I'm helpless. Is that a thrill to you to know that I can't fight you back? Yet you have total control over me. My life is in the hands of once a friend, but now a total stranger who have become my worst nightmare. But one day I know you'll get caught. You think you're smooth at what you're doing.
Not easy to talk about. It's something that I kept buried within myself for many years, and it's like trying to pull up a 2-ton stone out of a well.
To use Dahmer's words, this next victim's murder hit the family like a 2-ton stone. The circle of life dictates no parent should ever outlive their child, but this is exactly what happened to our next family. Unfortunately, the live footage from court hasn't been released, but this Netflix dramatization takes nothing away from the father's reaction. What drove this reaction was the murder of his son Conrad. With the routine photo shoot in play, Dahmer drugged the 14-year-old. He was still trying to figure out how to keep his prey alive, yet submissive. So with the procedure he was still trying to perfect, he decided to adjust his techniques.
How far down do you think you penetrated the drill bit? All the way to the brain. No fluid in it? No fluid that I could see. And no bleeding. He was sort of groggy and everything. He wasn't dead or anything. He talked. And I thought maybe I'd be able to keep him that way.
While Dahmer then ran out to the bar, Konarak almost managed to escape. Unfortunately, he didn't get too far.
Police arrive, and Konarak is now sitting with a blanket around him at the scene, and the officers are approaching to find out what's going on.
Dahmer gets back from the bar.
While that was going on, Dahmer came up the street.
And these young women interceded. They asked Konarak, "What's your name?" He couldn't talk. 2 18-year-old black girls protecting him from Dahmer.
Dahmer figured that as a white guy, I could tell these officers my version of the story.
This is where it gets crazy.
The police thought he was drunker than a billy goat. So what did they do? They don't just leave him. They take him into a place of safety, the apartment from whence he came.
Dahmer put Konarak on the couch, then allowed them to look around the apartment. But they didn't look hard enough. Little did they know, not more than 5 feet away from a child who was about to get murdered laid the body of Anthony Hughes. Knowing the horrific details of this case, we now see on the day of the testimonies Konarak's father as he shows his anguish at the loss of his son.
เขามีความหวังใน American Dream.
We believed in the American dream.
แต่ว่าความหวังกลายเป็นความฝันให้ที่สุด
But now, we're living in a nightmare.
เพราะ Jeffrey Dahmer คนเดียว
And it's all because of Jeffrey Dahmer. He robbed us of our son, Konarak.
เราเอาความฝันของเขาไป
He robbed us of our dream.
In 9th grade, dissected a baby pig. After we were done with dissection, took the pig's head home and took kept it for a while. Why, I don't know.
This victim impact statement comes from Janie Hagan, the sister of Dahmer's 4th victim.
Jen, would you identify yourself first?
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Janie Hagan, the sister of Richard Guerrero. I am here as a spokesperson for my family.
In March 1988, after convincing Guerrero to come home with him in exchange for money, Dahmer drugged, then strangled and dismembered him in his grandmother's basement.
He would kill somebody, the body would be upstairs in the bedroom, the grandmother would wake up, and Jeffrey would chit-chat with his grandmother and send her off to church.
My thoughts obviously weren't the thoughts of the sane person at the time. I would have rather he had stayed alive, but strangling seemed to be the way to keep him. Wanted to keep him. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
This is just a small insight into Dahmer's dark, twisted mind on the night of Guerrero's murder. So it's understandable why these next words leave such an impact.
So, Jeffrey, when you killed my brother Richard Guerrero, you also killed my father and my mother's youngest future. And my 3 brothers' lives, including my life, my husband, and my 3 children, will never forget this tragedy that you inflicted upon us. Jeffrey, you are el diablo, el puro diablo que estaba suelto en las calles de nosotros. That means the devil, the pure devil that walked our streets and was loose. So, Your Honor, please, I beg you, don't let this man ever walk our streets or see daylight again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
People go to these gory horror movies to get a glimpse at what they show in the movies. The only difference is I did it for real.
I don't even need a microphone. My name is Rita Isbell.
No, ma'am.
Rita Isbell came in with some fire. Her brother was Dahmer's 11th victim. On April 7th, Errol Lindsay met Dahmer on the street. Dahmer had now mastered the skill of deception. he convinced Errol to come over for a beer. But this case is different for two reasons. The first is that Dahmer's taste had changed. As we know, he usually went for gay men, but Errol was straight. And the second, well, Errol happened to be the first guinea pig in his search to make the non-consensual, well, consensual. We can all agree that Dahmer was out of control, and Rita Isabel wanted to show him exactly what out of control really looked like.
My name is Rita Isbell, and I'm the oldest sister of Errol Lindsay. Whatever your name is, Satan. I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you. I hate you. Something's out of control. Don't, Jeffrey, I'll kill you. God damn it, look at me. I can kill you.
What's your name, fast?
I can kill you. You don't have to
I went out and bought a 5-foot square freezer.
Okay, now what made you think that you wanted to do this?
Because I was preparing for war.
This is the mother of Dahmer's 9th victim.
My name is Inez Thomas, and I'm the mother of David Thomas.
She makes sure that her words are direct with Dahmer.
First, I want to let you know, Jeffrey Dahmer, about the pain that you caused my family. That was my baby boy that you took away from me.
It's said that in September of 1990, Dahmer met David Thomas outside the Grand Avenue Mall. As he did many times, he lured him back to his apartment. Thomas was one of 4 people whose bodies were never found. After hearing this as a mother, you can imagine how she felt. But that wasn't her main worry, because it's another family member who can't comprehend why David hasn't come home.
He had a little child, Cortia. They'll never see her father again. She was only 2. And now she sits in the window and she asked her mother, Mommy, where is Day-Day? She called him Day-Day. Where is Day-Day? When is Day-Day coming? And I think that's a sad thing for a child to see, to go through all her life and not know her father. This man should never be able to walk the face of earth or to be able to harm anyone else again.
I'm not even sure whether I was capable of a real sense of love even back then. Not even sure if I am now.
You don't know that you know how to love, is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure I do. The person who can love, I don't think, would do these things.
Now, this last reaction doesn't come from the voices of family or friends. This testimony comes from the one man who allowed the city of Milwaukee to not only stop living this nightmare, but to be able to start healing. This is Tracy Edwards, the one and only man who managed to survive the Milwaukee monster. So, hold your breath as we take you through the most horrific parts of Tracy Edwards' life-changing ordeal. On the evening of July 22nd, 1991, Dahmer again lured another unsuspecting victim back to his Milwaukee apartment. Dollars for pictures, the usual routine. Everything seemed normal to Tracy until sometime after they got to the apartment, when Dahmer then manipulated focus towards the fish tank. That was when Dahmer's mind flipped a switch.
Okay, when you start talking about the fish in the fish tank, do you bring that up or does he?
He does. I turn to the right, like the fish tank is here, I'm turning all the way over here.
To you.
All of a sudden a handcuff and a knife is pulled on me. Yeah. First I feel fear, then I ask him what's going on. This is not necessary, to pull a knife on me at that
Are you
point.
afraid?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to know why he did that?
None whatsoever. The knife was like he had here, the knife was in his hand, he had it on me like this.
Let the record reflect he was holding the knife in his right hand as he showed it, holding the cuff in his left hand, is that right?
Right. And
your left hand is cuff.
Yeah, right.
Where do you have the knife? What kind of a knife was it?
It was like a military knife, a machete of some type. He had lowered right up under my rib cage.
He then led Tracy to the bedroom. He pleaded with him that he didn't have to do this. Tracy mentions that there was a movie playing on the VCR.
Was there anything going on the TV?
Yeah, the Exorcist movies was playing at that time.
What impression was made upon your mind by the conduct, action, manner, expression, and conversation that you observed of Mr. Dahmer?
His frame of mind is what you want to know, right? Okay, he acted, at times he would go through like different changes with me, you know?
Tell us about that.
1 minute he's like nice, then he was telling he didn't want people to leave him or abandon him, things of this nature, you know?
I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to possess them permanently.
Well, what did you think about him as a person? What impression was made on your mind of this fella that you're dealing with here?
At times he wasn't himself, and then at times he was like a nice guy.
Tell us about his chanting. What was that all about?
It was just like, I can't tell you the words. I couldn't understand what he was saying at that time. It was like a slow slur, like some of that nature, some close like that, I'm not sure. Off and on throughout the ordeal. Just like back and forth, he would do it every now and then. It was like the part about the preacher that used to be a preacher that had got possessed, and that it would seem like he was like, it appeared like it was like he wanted to mimic it or be like that part, you know, being demonized or whatever in that nature. I'm interested in that part. That part had his attention more than anything. It was like he changed with it at times. Then he would get more aggressive, try to get me to handcuff myself, both hands. And he's told me it made him feel more dominant.
Dahmer then told Tracy to get on the floor and lay on his stomach. For whatever reason, he laid on his side. But why?
Okay, I kind of like laid on my sides for some reason. I guess God told me not to lay flat down or let this person handcuff me, so I didn't. He kind of laid across me, put his head across my chest at that point, like he was listening to my heart, because at the point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point.
Said he was going to eat your heart?
Yes, that's correct.
Did he still have the knife?
Yeah.
Where was the knife pointed?
When I was on the floor, he had it pointed at my groin area at that time. I knew something was about to happen, so I suggested that I go to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom at that time. Okay, then we go back into the bedroom. You know, it was like different time spans. We were talking about him losing his job. Then he would come to the person that I was first with, you know. And I was trying to comfort him, letting him know that I was a friend, you know, that I wasn't going to try to run away from him or nothing like that.
You were being cool.
I guess God, you can say that, because I had no control. It was this, I don't know.
He eventually hit the peak of his nightmare.
Yeah, he was like you're gonna have to do this and that, you know. Then he told me at a point I was gonna have to kill him, or either he was gonna have to kill me at one point.
Tracy then made another trip to the washroom, came out, asked for another beer, and then unbuttoned his shirt. A ploy to make Dahmer feel more comfortable, but something wasn't right.
I told him I want to sit in the front because it's an air conditioner. I was just going to try to jump out the window or go for the door or whatever. So I suggested we sit on the couch. I had unbuttoned my shirt to try to make him feel more at ease. And he just started going out of himself again.
Going out of himself?
Yeah, he was like paying me no attention at that time.
Like he wasn't there?
So yeah, he started the chanting again and was like just sitting there, you know. And then I just, for some reason, I said, well, I need to go to the bathroom again. And he didn't follow me at that point. So I reached up, I got up, and then I hit him, and I ran out.
Thanks to the actions of Tracy Edwards on July 19, 1991, the people of Milwaukee can walk their streets safely once again. However, this came at a cost. Edwards himself endured a lifetime of torment, unable to recover from the psychological damage done that night in apartment 213.
I think anyone that rushed with Dahmer and survived realized later that they'd had a close call with death itself. One can't walk away knowing that you were virtually in the claws of a man who killed 15 people at least, and it's going to have some impact on you.
Jason, 20 years ago, Tracy Edwards escaped Dahmer's apartment and led police to the serial killer. Today, Edwards was back in court, this time as the defendant.
On the 20 years since Edwards led police to Jeffrey Dahmer, he has been in and out of jail. Friends say he struggled with drugs and alcohol. and the legacy of being the one who got away.